Hello, folks. Rebecca Adams here, and I have two special people with me tonight. You know Becky Vermeer.
Hello. Hello.
We finally heard you, Mrs.
I
Doubtfire.
forgot. I was in the wrong decibel again tonight. It's been a minute.
I know, it's all good. Well, you froze up there too, so that was
good. We're starting off great.
Yeah, right. So Becky is AKA Mrs. Doubtfire. And then we also have a new friend to Becky. She's a wonderful friend that I have known for a few years now. Her name is Ruth, and she has an incredible story to tell. So we're really excited to get this program going. I realized the other day that I haven't read Becky's resume to you for a long time. So if somebody has logged on and they're watching us and they're going, who is this lady anyway? So Becky Vermeer is first of all, she's the queen of questions, but she is the executive director for the Crisis Center of Taney County, and she is in her 27th year in that position. She started when she was 5. She is
That's right.
responsible for grant writing, fundraising, programming, staff oversight, and community awareness activities. She graduated from the College of the Ozarks with a double major in psychology, philosophy, and religion. Becky has served statewide on the board of directors for the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence and held the offices of president and vice president for 4 years consecutively. In addition, Becky is now the outreach chair for the board of Safe House. Becky has been asked by multiple statewide associations to present training on domestic and sexual violence. Becky has been qualified by the local court system as a domestic violence expert witness and is called upon to provide testimony for the prosecution in domestic violence cases. So you are somewhat familiar with Ruth, having been a court reporter. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So the two of you have a connection there. So what we do, because this is a dark, heavy topic when we talk about domestic violence, Ruth, we want to lighten it a little bit, give it a little bit of levity. So talk about our collections, and Becky has a sock collection. What do you have for us tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was thinking, I have a really fancy pair of socks that I haven't highlighted that you might know something about. Because you also, I think, in addition to the queen of questions, I think you've also called me the queen of winging it. And so, I've got my winging it socks with me here tonight.
Oh, cute.
But these are bright yellow, but they're not showing up bright yellow on the screen, are they?
That's
Yeah,
okay.
they are. I see it.
I can kind of tell it's yellow. It's not bright yellow, but
with blue stars or something. Pretty bright. I see it.
Those are fancy. Whoop.
Yeah,
playing with my filter too. Whoop. So tonight I'm going to be the queen of winging it.
That's all right. I love it. You are the queen of winging it. Try to say that fast 4 times. Exactly. So in other words, this new beach house mansion that you have is just a filter. It's not really where you live.
No, it's really where I live. In my dreams.
My sister had that tonight. She had a filter too.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow, when did you all do that to the room?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a new year.
Yeah.
I got a new computer. And so I thought maybe I moved to a new house. So everything. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
I love my ocean view. But I tell you, I'm really eyeballing that new painting I've got over my fireplace. That's nice.
It is really nice. Of course, it has your favorite color in there, so that
does. I think that's why it's appealing to me.
Lots of blue.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty. So
you are so funny.
What about you? What do you got to share with us tonight from your special collection?
Well, I have a pair of earrings, a new pair that I just got, and I love them. And I always have a hard time getting my camera to pick up on what they look like. $5.
Oh, wow. I don't even pay that much for mine. I lose them too much.
I have a
So
neighbor
those are fancy and expensive earrings then.
that,
Yeah.
well, I know, right? You know, I
Mhm.
mean, they should be. Yeah, my neighbor next door is also selling paparazzi earrings.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
paparazzi.
yep,
Okay.
go to paparazziaccessories.com. Love it. And
Oh,
we also have a store where I live where she sells almost all paparazzi. She has a lot of other things too. Uh,
well,
so yeah, I love my earrings. I love my rings and my earrings. That's what I collect.
well, I collect and I can't help myself. Pins. Can you see that? This is just the one in here in this room. And I have pins in every room and they're in a container just like this. I kid you not. I can't help it. They're in every purse I have.
These
Like,
are
oh,
all
weird.
blue.
Yeah.
These are multicolor.
Oh my God. So cute.
These
Like
are
me,
all
you have them in a
black.
rubber band.
Check this guy out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Love
found
He's
that entertaining when kids, all the small kids, all my grandkids would come and visit, and I had paper and pencils, and we would sit and draw and write and color and all of that. And I still have those same pens. They're probably dried up by now.
I do go through mine periodically just to get rid of the ones that aren't any.
No, I know. Some of them are just so cute you don't want to, but
I know. I've been that way too. Yeah, I'm bad.
mm,
Well, Ruth, let's go ahead and dive into your story. Now, we met through a mutual friend named Robin, and she has
mhm.
an annual Christmas party. She loves to host.
The best parties.
Oh my Lord. They really are. They're just,
Mhm.
she knows how to decorate. She loves to bake. She loves to cook. Everything is delicious. She's got
And she
Christmas.
loves to entertain. She
Yes,
does.
yes, she
Mhm.
does. And so we met, I don't know how many years ago, at the first Christmas party I ever attended. I met you there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I just really enjoyed talking with you. And then this last Christmas, just a couple weeks ago, uh,
Yeah.
we sat and talked for the majority of the party and we just really connected even more this last time, I think, than we ever have. And you told me your story about domestic violence that you have
Mhm.
experienced, and you were more than willing to come on and talk on our podcast and tell your story. And the reason we like to do that is because we want people can hear common
Story their own stories.
own story
Would
or their
yeah.
relatives or their friends or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that's why we like to do this so that everybody can hear different stories and yet hear the commonalities in them. So
Mhm.
why don't you start at the beginning of this relationship? What drew you to this man?
I don't know. I was alone, a single woman, and I would go to the hospital, the VA, and I had a foot surgery. So I met him actually in the parking lot. He was there too, because he was a former Marine also. I'm sorry, my dog is here now.
No, you're fine, hon.
Okay, so when I met him, we just met in the parking lot and we just started talking as I was going to my car. I didn't know anything about him except he liked to talk. He said, "Well, write me a letter sometime." I said, "Okay." He said, "You can write it up here and write to me up here because I'll be here. You know, I'm a patient up here." I didn't think anything about that. But so we got closer. He came to visit me over time. He came to visit me over time. And so we just started dating. And he started doing that. Nobody in my family had met him yet. But before they did, he had already done something that should have told me this is not the guy for you, which was he watched me. He was in my car with me when I had to go to the ATM. And he actually, I don't know, there was one thing about this guy, he could remember numbers. And even though he was on the other side of the car and I was at the ATM, I was using the thing, he saw it. I didn't realize he was watching. And so when we were back at the house one day, he actually took the card from my purse. Now I didn't see that happen, but I noticed there was $250 missing from my account, you know. And I said, where is my card? You know, I don't know where must have lost my card, but he put it where I could find it. And he goes, oh, you know, I'll help you find it. I'll help you find it. And lo and behold, we found it. Excuse me a minute.
Oh, you're
What?
fine.
Okay. So anyway, that should have told me right there that there were all kinds of signals and warnings that I don't think we want to see those. We just dismiss them. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he'll be different. You know, as time went on, I knew this man for almost 5 years when he attacked me. He eventually, he didn't live with me constantly. He lived with me on and off, you know, 6 months here and 3 months there, whatever. He would just disappear. I didn't think about drugs or anything like that. He never did anything like that in front of me, but he would get edgy and just leave. And you know, I guess because I didn't see it, I didn't want to believe anything else was happening. But it got to the point where he just actually almost killed me. And it took a while for almost the end of the 5 years. It turned out after all this time, I found out that he was schizophrenic, paranoid schizophrenic. And that's actually why he was up there at the hospital. He had a terrible history. You know, I didn't get to learn all his history, just things here and there. But he was gentle, and he never raised his hand to me or anything like that. He always seemed to care, but he wasn't what I was actually looking for in a boyfriend. I didn't find that out till too late. But he did the little things that he did, and this is important because some of the things that he did, and he knew I should have laid the hammer down on him about it. I just kind of let it go. I didn't do a whole lot of arguing with him or pin him down to anything. But it actually saved my life because he learned to trust me. And that's what saved my life. Now, I have to cut to the most important thing, which was the time that he actually did. He hadn't taken any medicine or anything. And all the time that I knew him, he hadn't taken the medicine that he was supposed to. I learned all this later, but excuse me. I can't talk to you right now. Go away. So
we all have dogs that are carrying on.
Yeah, she's trying to get me to let her out on the porch. She must have buried something out there. But anyway,
put on camera if you want to. She's fine.
So many things happened. So many things that told me I should not be with this man. And my family didn't like him. When they met him, it was like, oh, what are you doing with him? But they wanted to trust my judgment. So they kind of let me alone. In my family, I was always the tough guy. Now, I don't mean mean tough. I mean level-headed. You know, they trusted me for everything I did. They would come to me with their problems or whatever. Whenever there was a death in the family, everybody else would be crying and I would be soothing everybody else, you know. That's my personality. I mean, there were times I wanted to cry too, but I couldn't cry. Everybody else was depending on me to be the strong person. Now, maybe that's something in my past that makes me the way I am. I don't know. But I was in uniform. Let's go to the part where he almost killed me. I was in my car because that's where my unit was, and I had a uniform on. I was reserved, and I was getting ready to be re-enlisted by my sergeant major. Now, this man, he was so paranoid that he had gotten worse and worse over time, and I wanted to get away from him, but I didn't know how. I just didn't know how. I kept putting it off and putting it, and I'm thinking if I put him back, he's just going to show up again. He knows where I work. He knows pretty much everything about me. And so I actually took him with me that day. because he was paranoid. He's like, where you going? Where you going? You're always gone. I took him with me and I dropped him off at a, what is it? It was a place to eat, the buffet, Golden Corral. That's what it was. It's not even out there anymore. But I dropped him off there. I said, you can have breakfast until, we'll be through, and then I'll come and pick you up. But it took a while, and he kept calling. I don't know how he got the sergeant major's number, but the calls were coming right to her desk. And she finally got tired of it, and the phone would ring and she would just hand it to me. I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. But anyway, so we never got a chance to finish re-enlisting me. So she said, okay, we'll have to finish this after lunch. And she said, do you want to go to lunch with me and another girl? I said, no, I'll just wait here. I'll wait here. This unit that they were at was, there were two other units there. There were medical unit people there, and then there was my unit, the legal unit there. And so it was lunchtime, and all these cars were parked here, and I was parked in the grassy area because there was nowhere else to park. And so I went to get him for lunch, but he hitched a ride. He had hitched a ride, and I was at a stoplight when I heard somebody call me. And I looked around, and in my rearview mirror, he had jumped out of this car, whoever he jumped in the car with, and he was running up to my car. I just unlocked the door and let him in. I didn't want to sing, get in, let's go have lunch or whatever. But I said, I'm not finished. He said, I'm not hungry. I said, okay, well, I'll just go back and we'll sit and wait for my sergeant major to come back so she could finish re-enlisting me. So as we're sitting in the car, he said he had to go use the bathroom. And now here we are in a grassy area. There's no bathroom, but there's that little, what do you call that? Little truck like they have on MASH with the big cross on it. So he went back there, and I thought he was going to use the bathroom behind there. And so he came right back. And I said, I thought you had to use the bathroom. Now, mind you, I'm in my car. I'm behind the wheel. And he got back in, and he starts going on and on about me not being there at the unit all the time he was at the restaurant. But he's calling me at the unit. Okay. He's calling me at the unit. I'm talking to him. He's calling. Anyway, so you see how that went. That's his paranoia and everything. And he started saying things like, I know you weren't at the unit. You were at the Americana Hotel. And I'm going, hotel? What are you talking about? And I really didn't know, I saw him going off again. He's going off some strange thing. And so I kind of dismiss it, but he reached down in his boot because he was wearing like a boot, and he came up and he had a knife. And that's when I realized he was serious. And then he just started coming over and stabbing at me. I got a uniform on and it's pretty thick. But when I saw that, I just remember fighting him. I'm fighting him, and I hear myself screaming, and I'm fighting him, and I don't feel anything, just the fighting. And suddenly he slowed down, he stopped. And you know why he stopped? Because my foot, and this is when I had black boots. That's when they wore black boots. They were switching over to the brown ones, but I hadn't switched over yet. That's how long ago it was. And he stopped because I don't know if you can see my arm here. My boot was in the crook of his arm. My right leg came up over the console, and I don't know, we were scrambling so hard I couldn't tell you how that happened. But my boot was right here in this crook of his arm, and he couldn't go any further. So he slowed down, he stopped, and he got quiet. And I was quiet. And there were two places on my hands that were bleeding. There's that. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Can you see my hand here? There's a stitch here. There's a little bubble. That's a bubble of nerves because it was pretty big at the time, but this has been years now. And so it's gotten better, but these fingers are permanently numb. And then there was this other hand. I was looking at that, and he was quiet too. And he was looking at it. And then he started panicking, and he said, You can go to the hospital. You can go to the hospital. He started sounding like a little boy, you know, and I'm still calm. He said, you can drive to the hospital. You can go on to the hospital. He said, I'll help you get there. And he put a wad of Kleenex that I had in the back of my car. Believe it or not, I had my Bible back there too. I go to Bible study. My Bible was on the back seat. And so he handed me a wad of Kleenex. And while we only watched this one hand, I asked him, we got quiet. I said, why did you do that? And then he started whining again like a little boy because you weren't there. You were at the Americana Hotel with somebody. And I knew not to question him. It's like, okay, time for questioning is over. This is serious. And I didn't know anything else about except for this hand right here and this hand. And so he said, okay, I'll let you drive. You can drive to the hospital. You need to go to the hospital. I said, okay. So before I took off, out of nowhere, out of the inside of me, I started saying the Lord's Prayer. It just came out of my mouth. It just came out of my mouth. And while my eyes was closed, he was quiet and he was listening too. But as soon as the prayer was over, it was like somebody put me in a glass jar. I always talk about this because this is my favorite part. Somebody put me in a glass jar and it was quiet. And so I stayed calm. And then also, I was not allowed. It was something holding me from looking up or looking at him at all. I wasn't able to look at him. And he told me, he said, if you get dizzy or anything, I'll drive for you. I'll drive. I thought, no, you're not. So I was trying so hard, but I got dizzy. I actually got dizzy. And he helped me pull over. And he actually helped me put it in park. And this was weird because he came around and he opened my side door. He came out and wait a minute, let me get this right because my dog is harassing me. He unbuckled me, and while we're both in my car at a Camry, he lifted my legs over the console. And I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot of room, but I'm telling you, this happened. He got up with his behind next to the windshield while he's lifting me over. He opens the door and he steps out and he buckles me in while he's half out of the car. And then he reaches over and grabs the keys. So, okay, it's like, okay, he's not all gone, is he? Because he's thinking, he's thinking he took the keys. He ran around and he started driving. And as he's driving, I just kind of relax. I stay relaxed and quiet in my little bottle, in my little bottle. And I'm just listening to the highway go by. Because by this time we're on a highway going somewhere. And all of a sudden it got real quiet. And I opened my eyes again and we were getting off the highway. There was an exit that we were, and it was, you either had to go left or you had to go right. And he stopped the car there and I could see in what little peripheral vision I had left, I could see him open the door and he's watching me, and he drops 2 knives out onto the ground. And one was a bigger knife. One was just the one he was stabbing me with was a little paring knife that came from my house that I hadn't seen in weeks. I wondered where a little knife went. But anyway, I didn't realize the bigger one was missing too, but he dropped them out on the road. And then I started to panic because I thought, okay, he's getting rid of the evidence. He's thinking. And I thought, okay, he's going to drop me somewhere. He's going to lead me to bleed out somewhere. And, when I did that, with the panicking started. And I thought about Peter in the boat. I thought about Peter in the boat. When he stepped out of the boat to go to Jesus, he looked around and he started sinking. So that's what I thought of. And I thought, okay, I need to get back in my little bottle and stay quiet. Because as long as I'm quiet, he won't panic. Stop. And anyway, so we started driving and we got to a point where we were at a stoplight. And I could see up ahead at the stoplight. We're in the right lane, and over in the left lane is a car beside me, and up in front of that car is a police car. And while we're at the stoplight, my whole heart wanted me to take my bloody hands and rub them on the windshield. But something said no. That voice was loud. No, don't do that. Because we probably would have been in some kind of car chase or something. But anyway, I didn't think of all of that. I just heard that voice say no. And we rode on a little further, and my heart hurt so bad because I wanted so bad to stop that policeman. So we drove and we got to a point where we stopped again. It was a red light. And he said, I don't know where I am. I said, okay, no, I know where you are. He said, there's a light. I said, it's okay. Go through the light. And I'm talking to him just like I'm talking to you right now. I said, it's okay. Go through that light. And my heart said, Lord, please don't let anybody come through that light because I need to go. And he went on, he listened to me. He went on through the red light and he was saying, I don't know what we're going to tell them. What should we tell them? They're going to think I'm going to do 10 years and on. He was rattling. And he said, I don't know what to tell them. So what should I tell them? I said, what do you want to tell them? Still calm, just like that. And he said, I know, I could tell them this and that and that. And this. I said, okay. So we got to the hospital and I think he got to a panic point once again. And when we pulled up to the hospitals, and what little I could see, because I had tunnel vision by that time, he went around and he panicked. He said, oh no, this is not it. This is not it. They were working on it. There was some kind of construction going on, like there was plastic or whatever. And he tried to go around that little circle. I said, no, that's okay. I said, that's it. Go back. So he went back and he came to the very spot where he stopped before. I said, okay, now turn the car off. And he did. I said, now come around and help me out. He got out of the car. He walked around the back because I didn't see him come around the front. So he walked around the back. He opened the passenger door where I was sitting at this time. And he reached in and unbuckled me. And he put his arms around my waist, my upper waist under my arms. And he pulled me out and he started backing up. And I was holding on to him and he was backing up and he let go. And I could see where I was supposed to go. I saw the door I was supposed to go. It's like, I need to get there. And when I put my foot out to walk, I couldn't feel my legs. I went down and I fell right there. And it was still quiet. Nothing was going on. So I'm laying on the concrete and I can't see him. And I see his vision, a little bit of him leaning over me. I could tell it was him leaning over me. And I'm still quiet. I said, now get my purse. Because what else am I going to say? It's quiet. So he goes and he gets my purse and I can't see him, but I know that's what he's doing. And he comes back and he has the strap with his two fingers like that. And he's looking down at me and he just drops it. And it drops and I'm laying down and I can't see it. So I'm reaching and feeling for it. And he's saying nothing. He's not saying anything. So I reach it and I feel the purse and I feel the straps and I pull them up on my arm. So I'm still laying there and he's still standing there. I said, now go get me some help. So he disappears. Now there's another little man shuffling by and everything, but that's not important right now. I'm laying there and all of a sudden I hear footsteps, people running, and then I hear a gurney and I feel them lift me up and put me on the gurney. I feel the gurney lift and I could barely see. I didn't see the people or anything until I turned my head and I looked over to my right and there was a guy in a green uniform, which I found out later that was the hospital police. And he was standing with his back to the wall talking to him. It looks like he was trying to explain something. But as we rolled past him, whoever was pushing me, I said, that man stabbed me. And a girl came over the top of my head because she's pushing me. She came over, she said, what did you say? I said, that man stabbed me. So she didn't say anything else. She's just steadily pushing me into the room where they examine you and everything, and they're asking all kind of questions, and they cut my uniform off, and it's like, oh my God, that's a new uniform. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I had to be. I don't know why where that sense of humor came from, but because I make a joke out of everything, is I had to stay calm some kind of way. And so, but I felt fine because I'm there in the hospital, and I feel like everything's gonna be all right now. And I thought they were checking me to see if I was raped or anything, and because I got cold, I felt them take my clothes off, and I said I wasn't raped. He didn't rape me, and the girl said, no, honey, we're not checking you for that. She said, we're taking you to surgery. I said, okay. So they were putting needles and things in me, and that's all I remember. And when I woke up, they didn't call my sergeant. I remember saying, my sergeant major is going to kill me. This is before I go under. She's going to kill me. I'm supposed to be there when she gets back. And then I went to sleep. So when I wake up, who should be standing at my hospital bed but the judge that I work for in my civilian life? She was a military, so I think because I had my dog tagged on and everything, they called the post. And the judge, I don't know how they got wind of it, everything, but she was the one, when I opened my eyes, that was standing at my bedside. They had taken me out of surgery or whatever. I didn't know what had happened. I had bandages on this hand and bandages on this hand. So the detectives came and they asked me questions, but I was all drugged up, and they said, well, okay, we're going to come back in a couple days and we're going to ask you questions. I said, okay. And they did. They came back in a couple after I got through talking to the judge. And she went on to another post because she had something to a court case to do. All right, so when I'm in the hospital, the detectives come in and they ask me questions. They asked me what his name is, and I told them everything that I knew about him. After almost 5 years, I knew quite a bit about him. And they took him actually straight to jail because if they had every reason to believe, yes, he stabbed her. So at this time, they had to take pictures. And they took the bandages off this hand first, because I had stitches in one little part of the finger here. Okay, I was aware of that. And then they did the bandages off this one, which was really ugly, really bad. And I was aware of that. But then the nurse started undoing my gown and opening I was not aware of that. There was a staples from right at the breastbone all the way down to my navel, where they had the doctor had repaired my spleen, but I didn't know that then. I didn't know what he did. I didn't know why I was like that. And they actually didn't. There were stab marks, but they weren't. They were like little pricks. They didn't worry about those. They weren't so bad that they had to do stitches, but they had to stitch my hands, the fingers, and here where he had to open me up and repair my spleen. So we didn't actually go to court for almost 5 years. I had to have medicine to sleep. I had nightmares for a little while, and it was a mess. And it took a long time. And I never got to see my uniform or anything. But I had to do the deposition. That was the next thing that came up besides me moving out of wherever he knew I was before. I didn't know when they were going to let him. I didn't know anything. I didn't see him anymore. But anyway, because it was in another state that he stabbed me. So I his defense counsel wanted to do a deposition. And so I agreed to go do that for them. And he recorded me and everything. And I wish I didn't get to keep the script. I could have asked for the script, but I didn't get it. But anyway, they had all kind of help there for me. There was all kind of things they sent me to a psychiatrist, and I didn't think he helped me. I didn't want to go back to him. because he started talking about himself. I said, did you get stabbed too? But so no, I didn't feel like he was helping me. And they gave me, I had sleeping pills for a whole month, and they stopped giving them to me. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to get to sleep? I can't get to sleep. So when I went to the pharmacy and she told me, you have no more refills and they're not going to give you anymore. I said, what am I going to do? I was just about in tears. And she said, well, can you take, what is it? It's a antihistamine. What is it?
Oh, Benadryl?
Benadryl?
Benadryl. Yes. And I said, okay. So I used Benadryl for quite a while before I was able to sleep without anything. So that was really helpful for me. But and it also helped me to talk about it. I feel like it was a story for, it was so many stories in that one action, you know. Yeah, you think you can change somebody. You think they're not going to hurt you. Oh, he says he loves me. And I think he really cares about me. So no, you have to think about yourself, you know. Is he doing what you'd like for him to do as a boyfriend or as a husband? Or, you know, are you going anywhere as a couple? Or is things missing out of your house? You know? Are you on the short end of the stick? Are your bills getting larger, you know, with no help? That kind of thing. And I never thought about that. I didn't think about it till it was all over, you know. And so the next time I saw him was in court. And there was a jury. The jury.
Let's stop there and go
Okay.
ahead and finish this episode and come back to that. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Becky, do you happen to remember how it is that somebody can signal for help? Like if they were in Ruth's situation, what's that international hand signal for help?
So if you take your hand like this, put your thumb inside of it and cover it with your 4 fingers. Yeah.
We like to teach that international hand signal for help on this program so that we all can either recognize it if we see somebody that's in need, or if we end up in a situation like you were, Ruth, and you needed help. We like to teach that on this program.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate you coming on for this episode, Ruth. And if you hang tight, we will record our next episode. And remember, folks, that no matter where you are in this process, you're always free to soar.